welcome to today's live training event for this week. So excited to join you guys on this day, on Thursday. Can't believe we're only 2 weeks out from Thanksgiving. It's mind-blowing to me how fast we're moving through this year. I wanted to do something a little bit different today. Normally, obviously, I'm at my desk and going over a topic. Today, since we're talking about flexibility and stretching, and I know we sort of dove into a couple weeks ago about how there's different types and we discussed those. Today I'm actually going to do some examples of those. So hence the change of scenery. So hopefully you guys are ready for this. So we are going to, let's see, oh, hello to whoever signed on. Good to see you guys. All right, so today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to go ahead and actually demonstrate some of these stretches that we sort of alluded to a couple weeks ago in our discussion. So obviously with dynamic stretching, this is what you're going to be doing before you actually do whatever your exercise is. So for this, the whole point is to warm up your body, warm up your muscles to get them ready to do whatever the exercise is. So for this, I'm going to give some examples of that, and then when we're done with the dynamic stretching, I'm going to go over some static stretching, and then that way you'll have those which you would do after your workout. So for this, I'm going to start with the arm circles, which are those, if you're not familiar with, that's if you, let me back up here so I don't hit anything. So for that, you're going to put your arms out to the side, and you're going to start with small circles going forward. And then obviously as you gradually get to the bigger motion, and then after you do about 20 or 30 of those, get your arms and shoulders warmed up, then you're going to go backwards. Same idea, start small and then big circles. And so with that you're going to feel it in your shoulders, you're going to feel it in, across your upper chest, across your upper back. And so those are important to being able to help, get that, especially if you're doing an upper body workout, that's key. Another one called arm swings, and what you're going to do here is you're going to do, like this. So basically you got your palms out in front of you, facing down, and then you're going to go, and you're not rotating your hips. You want to keep your hips nice and straight forward, so you're going to go to the side. And that's working a little bit different. You're going to feel it across the bottom part of your arm, so that's also important. And keep looking over here because I've got my sheet of exercises I want to make sure we cover, so I don't want to forget any. And then the next one we're going to be doing is called the Arm Criss-Cross. And so what that is where you've got your arms out and you're coming like this, and wide and open. So it's similar to the arm swings, but it's a little bit different because you're getting that pull across your chest when you're out wide, and then you should feel it across your back up here when you've got your arms crossed in front of you. And you can take turns over which arm's over the top, and so as you can see, obviously by this point, if you do about 20 to 30 of each of those exercises, then you're going to actually start to feel, you feel it loosen up, you feel those muscles start to warm up on your upper body. The next is shoulder rolls, and obviously this here, the arms are going to be more at your side, and you're just going to roll your shoulders backwards, and then you're going to roll them forwards. And it's the same concept. So these are all focused obviously on your upper body, getting your upper chest, your upper back, your arms ready for whatever activity you're about to do. So moving on to obviously your core, you're going to do spinal rotations. So similar to obviously arm swings where you're obviously warming up your upper body but keeping your hips stationary. With this you're actually going to be rotating at your hips and just keeping your arms stationary. Obviously your arms are going to move because your torso is moving, but the point of this is to actually rotate at the hip. So you're going to rotate, and the key thing here is you want your feet about shoulder width apart, and soft knees. Don't lock your knees straight, just nice gentle bend to your knees, and then just turn. And you can do this, for about 30 seconds or so. You should feel it across, your mid-back, a little bit across your lower back. And then that way you're getting that area, your trunk, your torso, it's your core. Obviously you need to have that nice and loose. You don't want to have it too tight. So, obviously you get muscle stiffness, especially if you're going to do some form of cardio. This can actually, be really tight, and that's never feel good when you're out in the middle of a run, and so you don't want that. Another great exercise is called the Inchworm. And so for this one, what we're going to do is I'm backing up so you can see me. So once again, feet are about shoulder width apart. You're going to bend over until your hands can touch the floor. And if you're not used to stretching, this can be very challenging at first. So if this might be a little bit more advanced, that's okay. Gradually work up to it. So you're going to bend over, and then you're going to walk your hands forward. So you're going to walk out. It's almost like you're in a push-up position. And then walk back. And then stand up. And then do that about 8 to 10 times. And the whole point of this is you're getting your core engaged, obviously your arms are engaged, your legs are engaged. It's really more of a full-bodied warm-up. And obviously you're not holding the push-up position, you're not doing push-ups, so don't worry. It's just about getting your core engaged. And you'll feel it when you're in that extended out position. So for the next one, we are going to do what is called, now we're moving lower, we're getting lower onto the thing, so we're focusing on hips specifically. So this often, it's a lot easier if you've got something to hold on to for stability. So what you're going to do is you're going to, stand, put your weight on one foot. So in this case, I'm putting it on my left foot. It'll look to your, like it's my right foot in the video. So and then you're going to put all your weight, lift up the other side, and just do small circles. Small circles. And you'll feel it in your hip. And gradually, you can get to bigger circles. And so you do this for about 5 to 10 times. If you need to, go a little bit longer. And then switch sides. And do the other side. Same idea. You want to get, that movement of all the muscles that go surround your hip. So you want to get them warmed up, get ready for whatever activity you're about to do. So once you do those, then you can start to also do some other exercises for hips. And this is where we're talking about a lunge with a twist. So most people know what lunges are. So if you're standing with your feet, underneath your shoulders, you're going to step forward, lunge down, and twist. And then come back up, do the other side. Lunge down, and twist. And step back up. So you're going to do this for about 5 to 10 on each leg. And what this is doing is you're going to feel across your hips, you're going to feel across your lower back, and that's just getting all the muscles, once again, in addition to the hip circles, these are great for getting your hips warmed up and getting ready for whatever activity you're about to do. The next one we're going to talk about is called the side lunge, and this is getting the inner thigh and the outer thigh ready for your exercise. So you're going to stand with your feet about underneath your shoulders. And I'm going to have to modify mine a little bit because I've got objects on either side, so I can't really get a wide lunge. But you're going to step out and bend down. And come up. And then you're going to step out to the other side and come down. And the key thing here is the leg that you're not stepping out with. You want that one nice and straight. And then you want to bend the other knee, so when you bend down, you don't want your toes to go past, you don't want your knee, to go past your toes. Because otherwise you can actually really hurt your knee. And so this is where you're almost actually, when you're stepping out, it's sort of like you're stepping out and you get a little bit more of an angle. You want that angle out so that your foot might not exactly be, it doesn't look normal. But you'll get that extension on your lower inner thigh, which is part of what you're trying to stretch and warm up here. And so obviously you're not holding it for any length of time. You're switching back and forth between each side, so that way, not rapidly, but fast enough that you're starting to get muscles warmed up. So once you're done with those, you can do leg pendulums, which is sort of similar to the hip circles, but this is a little bit different. So once again, you're going to want to hold on to something for stability. It could be the wall, it could be a chair, whatever you've got available. It doesn't have to be anything special. And then you're going to go, rather than circles, pendulums means you're going in and out. In and out. And so these are, it's obviously you're getting your hip, but you're also starting to get your thigh and your hamstrings. So that's really important, obviously. And then once you've done about 5, 10 of those, switch sides. Okay, and then next you're going to switch and you're going to come in and out sideways. So rather than going forward, back, you're coming left, right. So you're going to plant your foot, hold on to something, and then in and out, in and out, in and out, and then switch sides. And so what you're doing there is now you're warming up your outer thigh and your inner thigh. And so these are all great exercises as far as getting your body, your blood pumping, you're moving around. Obviously I'm not doing them at the same intensity as I would be as if I would warming up for real. I'm just, otherwise I'd most likely start getting out of breath and all that. And obviously that doesn't work well when you're trying to explain it. So then you're going to do some calf raises, because obviously don't forget your lower legs. Those are a huge component of you being able to do activities. So once again, legs are about shoulder width apart. You're going to raise up on your toes and come back down. Raise up on your toes and come back down. Raise up on your toes and come back down. And then the last one that we're going to talk about as far as dynamic stretching is the jog to quad stretch. And this takes a little bit of coordination, so don't be alarmed if you don't get this one right away. So what you're going to do is you're going to sort of jog in place for about 2 to 3 seconds, and then you're going to pause, grab your part just around your ankle, and gently pull up so that way you're getting that stretch across your quad. Do that for about 2 to 3 seconds, and then go back to jogging for 2 to 3, and then do the other side. So let me give you an example of this. So you're going to jog, and then you're going to pause and pull. Jog, pause, and pull. And you should feel it coming down your thigh here when you're doing the pull. And by jogging, obviously that was just an example. You can up the intensity a little bit if you're able to tolerate that. The whole idea is to get blood flow to the area that you're stretching. So with all these different exercises, and obviously you can do whatever combination that works for you as far as, you know, what activity are you going to do? Is it going to be more upper body focused? Is it going to be more core focused? Obviously your core is a big part of any type of activity. Your lower body focused. The whole idea here is you want to get the muscles prepped for what you're going to put them through as part of your exercise. And so this is where having that warm up beforehand should hopefully prevent you from having any injuries, or obviously you're going to most likely have some form of muscle fatigue, but by making sure your muscles are nice and warm, that usually sets in a little bit later in the exercise routine. So with all of these are key to getting your body ready for exercise. Now we're going to transition on over to the idea of static exercises. And these are those exercises that you are going to do post-workout. And the whole idea here is to help your body cool down. It's to help get you ready for, you know, stretch those muscles, increase your flexibility. Obviously, once you are exerting yourself, your muscles, when they're cooling down, they're naturally going to contract. And so when you're stretch using static stretches post exercise, this helps to keep them a little more flexible, a little bit looser, and that way you don't get that post-exercise like super tightness where you feel like you can't move. So let's focus on some of these so that way you can start incorporating them as well. So the first one we're going to be talking about, once again, we're moving back up to the upper body. So we're going to be focusing on the tricep stretch. So for those, if you don't remember, your triceps are the backs of your arms. So for these, it's pretty simple. You're going to stand, you know, comfortable position, so you can maintain your balance. Put your arm up, stick it behind your shoulder, take your other arm, grab your elbow, and pull. And you're going to feel the pull down here. So that's what you want. You want to feel that pull. And then switch sides. And pull. Okay, so what that is, obviously, if you did an upper body workout, these are great for getting those triceps nice and limber again. As far as a bicep stretch, this is where you are going to, stand, once again, interlock your fingers, face your palms away from you, and push. Push out as hard as you can. And you're going to feel the stretch come down the front of your arms. So you're going to feel it not only in your biceps, but you're going to feel it in your forearms. So by pushing away from you, remember, so if from the side angle, you're pushing out, push away from you. Okay, so that is super important to help you get that biceps stretched out. The next one we're going to be doing is, and you also feel that one across your upper back. So it's actually a bonus. So if you're pushing away, you're going to feel in your arms, you're going to feel up here. So that's a twofold stretch right there. That's a bonus stretch. So that's a good one. So when you are, let me double check here, make sure I'm getting on the right one. Okay, we're doing shoulder stretch next. And so for this, you are going to remain standing. And then we are going to pick which side you want to start, whether you're going to do both, so you choose. So in this case, I'm going to take my right hand, come across, take my left hand, pull it up, and pull. And you're going to feel this across your shoulder. So you're going to pull like this, and then hold. And that's with any of these static stretches, you're going to come up, and then you're going to hold. And because, unlike dynamic here, we want the hold, because that's helping pull the muscle back out so it's not contracted and keeping it flexible. So that's what we're focusing on here. So now that we've got the upper body pretty well covered between all the different stretches, you got your upper back, your biceps, triceps, shoulders, now we're going to focus on the side stretch. So with this here, same thing, legs shoulder width apart. You can put hands on your hips and pick one side, because we're going to do both. We're going to put one arm up and bend. Lean to the opposite side, and you're going to feel it coming down through here. And then you're going to switch, come up, and bend. Same thing, you're going to feel the stretch coming down through your side. So that's where obviously you're trying to get that core loosened back up, especially if you were doing a lot of sit-ups or something like that. This is really a good exercise for that. And then the next one we're going to talk about, and some of these obviously require you getting on the floor, is the Cobra Pose. So this we're taking from yoga, and it's actually really good for your core. And then obviously we're going to get into some here in a minute that focus on your back. So with the Cobra Pose, you're going to get down and sort of like you're in a push-up position, but your legs are going to stay on the ground. Your toes are going to be pointed, so that way you're actually lifting up. And I'm going to demonstrate it here in a minute. I just want to explain it before I get on the floor. So what you're going to do is, rather than doing a push-up, you're going to extend your arms straight and then arch your back. So let me show you. Ready? So we're going to come down. You're going to put your toes flat on the floor, and then you're going to basically arm straight underneath your shoulders, and then arch your back down. So let me show you from the side. So you're going to come down and arch, and you're going to feel it in your core if you're doing it right. So you're going to just arch, and your knees can be on the ground. If you want to make it a little more challenging, you can actually lift your knees up and just keep your toes on the ground, but don't feel required to do that right now, because obviously that's much more advanced. You can build up to that if you feel like it, but the whole idea is you want that stretch down your core. So that's a key one right there. And then another good one is a reclined spinal twist, and this is going to be starting to work the back, and this is one of my absolute favorites. I love to do this one every night before bed, because otherwise when I wake up in the morning my back's really stiff. So for this, I'm going to actually remain standing, just pretend that I'm lying down. This way I can see you guys and show you. So for this, you're going to actually put your arms out to the side, making like a T with your body. Pick one leg, because you're going to do both. Lift up your knee, so that basically it's at a 90-degree angle from the floor. And I'm going to hold on here so I don't fall over. But then you're going to twist it over, and you're going to feel it across your back here. So and then you're going to try to look the opposite side. And so hold that. If you can, get your knee all the way over and gently rest it on the ground. That might give you a little bit more stability. If you need to, you can substitute like a prop in there, or if you have a block, pillow, something to just make your leg comfortable on. Once you get that stretched out, then you're going to switch to the other side. So you're going to lift to the other knee, turn, and then look over there. And obviously you're laying down on your back, so you should feel the nice twist in your back. And obviously, as I said, if you need a little bit further guidance on that, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I can show you an actual video of me on the ground doing that, but for the sake of this purpose of this video, it's a little easier to do it standing up. And then the next one we're going to do that focuses on your back as well is the knee to chest stretch. And then so what this is you're laying down on your back, you're laying completely flat. Now you're going to bend your knees and gently hug them to your chest. So you're going to, both knees obviously. So you're going to hug them up, and you'll feel the stretch across your lower back, which is really good. And then you can do the seated butterfly stretch, which is going to get the inner thighs, and you might actually get a little bit of glute workout. Obviously most people know what this one is. It's where you sit on the floor, you put your feet together, and then you bend forward. Your knees are flayed out to the side, and you're bending forward over your toes. So you can go far forward as you can reach, which is good. And then, over time, gradually try to increase the closeness of your upper body to your feet. So you want to try to bring that gap closer and closer. So with the next one, it's also to help with your hamstrings and your glutes. And this is where you're going to be seated. And I'm going to demonstrate this one because it's a little easier to see. So you put out one leg, you're going to bend the other knee in, scooch back just a little bit, and then you're going to bend over the leg that's straight. So you're going to bend over and you're going to feel this stretch all the way down the back part of your leg. And then you're going to want to hold it for about 30 seconds or so, and then you'll switch sides. So same thing, just bend on down and then stay there. And you'll feel the stretch. It's going to come down your hamstring, it's going to come down your calf. And some people sort of modify this a little bit where they'll put both legs out and then lean forward. That you're going to really feel on your inner thigh. And then they'll sit up and then switch to going over one side, hold there, and then switch to going over the other side. And that works different muscles as far as stretching them. So play around with it, see which one feels more comfortable for you as far as which muscles are you trying to target, are you trying to stretch to be able to obviously get that stretched out. The next one is the hamstring stretch. And this is where a lot of people, instead of having one knee bent, you have both legs straight in front of you and fold over the top of your legs. So it's sort of like the butterfly stretch, except instead of your legs being together at your feet, they're straight in front of you. So you're bending over trying to touch your toes. And you want to hold, obviously, that for as long as you can. Try to reach down as far as you can, so that way your goal is to try to eventually be able to touch your toes. Initially, you might not be able to do that, and that's okay. And obviously, you've got to start somewhere, and that's the key thing. You know, you want to increase your flexibility and decrease your chances of getting injured, so you have to start somewhere. The next one is the quadricep stretch, and this is also one of my favorites. So once again, you're going to want to hold on to something for stability. If you can balance, that's great. But most of us, myself included, I need to hold on to something, otherwise I'm going to fall over. So what you do is you hold on to whatever your object is. You're going to, and I'm going to turn to the side so you can see from the side angle, and you're going to pick up your foot, and you're going to grab by your ankle, and then you're going to hold. So sort of like the jog to quad stretch we were doing in dynamic, except this time we're not doing the jogging part, we're just holding. And then once you're done, you switch sides. And so you'll feel it coming down your quads, which is great. If you want a little bit of a variation, you can, once again, you're still holding the same spot, just slightly pull your foot to the outside or slightly pull it to the inside. And you'll feel it shift where it's stretching in your quad. The adductor stretch is similar to the side lunge, but instead of going out and coming right back, you're going to go out, and I'm going to step over here, and you're going to hold. And just stay there. You know, don't try to go as deep as you can. Remember, don't make sure your knee's not going past your toes. You're just going to hold. And you're going to feel the stretch in your inner thigh. And that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to stretch that inner thigh from the activity that you did. So that is incredibly important as far as that. Another great stretch to loosen up your glutes, your hamstrings and all that, is if you stand, put your weight on one foot, cross your leg over in front of that foot, make sure you get your balance, and then bend over. And what that's going to do is you're going to feel it, especially on the back leg, in this case my left leg, you're going to feel it come down all the way from your glute, down your hamstring, down your calf when you bend over. And then obviously try to get as close as possible to the floor, and then you want to hold it, and then switch sides. And so that way both sides are equally stretched. And then you can do your calf stretch. Same thing here, whether it's the wall, whatever you're doing, you're going to hold on. You're going to put your feet, you know, a little bit apart here. You're going to bend forward and keep this back leg locked straight. And you'll feel the stretch going down your calf. And that's what you're trying to do. Once you get a nice good stretch on one side, switch to the other side. And then the last one that we're going to talk about before I go over a couple of safety tips is that the standing shin stretch. Obviously, you're stretching out your calves. There's also muscles and stuff that go down the front of your legs, down your shins, that should be stretched out as well. And these are very similar to the quadriceps stretches, where you're picking up your leg and bending. The key thing here is where you put your hand. So, rather than putting your hand on your ankle, because obviously the focus is not stretching this, the focus is you want to stretch this side, put your hand on your toes. And then don't necessarily pull tight here. Keep your knee your quadricep a little bit more forward, and then pull up on your toes. And what you're going to feel, if you're doing it correctly, you'll feel the stretch come down your shin. And that's the whole point of that, is you want to obviously get those muscles loosened up as well. And that's where you have to keep in mind, obviously, muscles have reciprocal counterparts. So, great example, most people know, biceps, triceps. Obviously, you bend your bicep, straighten your tricep. Bicep, tricep, bicep, tricep. Same thing. Calves and shins work opposite each other. Quads and hamstrings, same idea. So this is where when you're stretching one, you need to make sure you're stretching the other, because if not, then the one that's not stretched is more prone to injury as far as being too tight, and the one that is stretched, because it's looser, can also be injured as well. This is why when you're designing your stretching routine, you need to incorporate some for all your muscle groups as well, because the same thing with your core and your back. I mean, you need to have a nice, loose, flexible core, strong core, and core typically does involve your back. It's just most people don't think of it that way. So this is where it's really, really important, making sure that you're stretching everything so that way you don't end up having an issue with a muscle group because it's not stretched compared to the reciprocal muscle group. And as far as safety tips goes, your big thing here you want to remember is you don't want to stretch beyond what's comfortable. You should feel a nice tugging sensation, but it shouldn't be like a sharp stabbing pain. If that's the case, back off a little bit, because otherwise you're actually stretching your muscle too much and can cause damage there. So don't go too far, and you want to be gentle. Use fluid movements. You don't want sharp, jerky movements. You want to be nice and gentle, because that's the point of this, is you want to get the muscles loose. You don't want to hurt them during the stretching process. And this is whether you're doing dynamic stretching or static stretching. You need to be gentle with your muscles, because obviously, you want to take care of them so that way they take care of you. The next one, a big one, especially with static stretching, but also with dynamic, don't forget to breathe. Don't hold your breath. So, and that's the key part with the static stretching, is as you're holding, breathe normal. Don't breathe fast, don't breathe slow, just breathe normal. And this actually helps with the stretch, because when you're breathing normal, your muscles are actually moving slightly in time to your breath. You're not really going to be aware of it, but it actually helps with the stretch. And the last one is big thing here. You want to start slowly. As I said before, you don't want to get injured. If you haven't been stretching, then you need to start the process slowly, so that way you're not overdoing it in the stretching part, and then you end up injured because of having something wrong in the stretching. So with the dynamic stretching, obviously this is, once again, to recap here, the dynamic is great for getting your body ready for exercise, get those muscles loosened up, limbered up, warmed up, blood flowing, everything like that, for your next activity that you're going to do. And then obviously afterwards do the static stretching. Some people like to do it right after. For me, I do more of a active cool down, like a walk, bring it down from my high intensity to a walk for about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, depending on how intense I worked out. And then I like to do my static stretching right before bed, because usually that's a few hours after I've done my exercise, at least, if not, several hours after. And what this does is and that's where, for me personally, I've discovered that's where I notice where the tightness sets in. And if I don't stretch before bed, then when I wake up the next morning, then I'm really stiff. So for me, I prefer to do my static stretching in the evening time. And I also use it as part of my wind down routine before bed, because that way it helps, obviously static stretching is designed just to cool your body down. So I do that, and then I'm usually good to go. So hopefully you guys found this helpful today. Obviously, if you have questions, comments, please put them below. Message me. I'd love to hear from you guys. Obviously, if you guys liked this video, let me know as far as if you want more of these live type demo videos, and we will go from there. But otherwise, you guys have a good rest of your week. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. And until then, stay healthy.